Everyone joining us, Austin Cindric, winner of last weekend's season opening event, NASCAR Xfinity Series, and defending champion of this weekend's Daytona road course event. If you've got a question for Austin, raise your hand, and we'll dive right into questions here. We won't waste any time, Austin. We'll get you started here with Jeff. Go ahead, Jeff. Get us going.
Hi, Austin. Thanks for joining us today. Obviously, things didn't turn out the way you wanted it to at the Daytona 500, but what did you learn about yourself as a cup racer on a super speedway in your debut, and how can you bring that momentum over to your championship Xfinity program?
Yeah, obviously, there were a lot of things that went really well in the 500 for me, and one of those being, staying in the game all day, running up front, not getting any incidents or any penalties or kind of the big picture things or rookie mistakes. And unfortunately, what took us out was just probably miscommunication on pit road as far as when to leave the box. Otherwise, we would have been either in front of or behind the 34 right with our teammates, and obviously probably would have had a better chance of avoiding the wreck and a better chance at being up front in the end, whether if that's helping out our teammates or being there to pick up what's left. So either way, I'm a competitor, so I'm pretty frustrated with that kind of a missed opportunity. But otherwise, yeah, for me, I think it's the first step of establishing myself amongst those drivers. So obviously Speedway racing is a much different discipline than a lot of the other racetracks that we go to. So I definitely know I've got a lot more to learn, and I'm excited for the next opportunity to drive the 33 car and wherever that racetrack may be, and try and figure out strengths and weaknesses there and keep building that momentum moving forward.
Did you get any good feedback from Brad, Joey, or Ryan?
I talked to Brad or Joey on Monday morning. We talked just because I led some laps there, and we were in a tandem for a while, and that was the first time I've ever done that. And having Joey lift my rear wheels off the ground for 2 laps straight was pretty crazy. And also leading my first laps in the Daytona 500. So definitely wanted his feedback there as far as things to do better and things that we can work on moving forward. He was really positive. Obviously, he's really strong at that discipline of racing. So it's great to have guys to lean on. I haven't had teammates in quite a few years, so to kind of have guys to bounce ideas off of, but also in an application where we can work together and obviously make ourselves stronger as an organization. It's a great tool to have.
Terrific. Good luck at the road course.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And for those of you, you've just missed maybe a minute or two. We started a couple minutes early, but we're underway here with Austin. If you've got a question, raise your hand, and we'll get to as many as we can here in the next 20 minutes or so. Let's go to Bob Pockras. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, good afternoon, Austin. Have you heard yet what NASCAR is doing as far as any changes to the track for the road course after all the mud was getting kicked up during the clash? And, and is there anything that you would want to see before you guys get out there?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's a question that I had after watching the clash. Obviously, they had the Daytona 24 there, a couple weeks prior, and they didn't seem to have the same types of issues. But I know on that weekend there's a lot of races that happen, and a lot of that stuff gets pulled up. So I'm sure Chip and his guys at the track have definitely identified that as an issue, especially since we have more than just the clash racing there. So my hope is that it's done, because obviously we haven't had that issue in the past. So it definitely played a role in that race. I'm hoping that no issues moving forward.
And do you have any idea why the Cup cars would do that and the sports cars wouldn't?
I don't think it's a difference in cars. I think it's just I don't know much about the earth, but I would imagine it just didn't get packed back in very well or enough after the Daytona 24. That would be my assumption, other than a lot of rain and weather that, I guess you'd have a lot in the summer, but either way, I think it can obviously be improved.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. Let's go to Jim Utter. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Austin, I know the missed opportunity at the end of the 500 stands out, but I wondered if you could just summarize a little bit about your entire Speedweeks experience. You had a lot on your plate. Could it have really gone? I mean, I know it could have technically gone better, but as far as everything that took place from start to finish, are you satisfied with that you came away with a good experience?
Yeah, there's a lot to be satisfied about. Obviously, we made the race by the skin of our teeth, and it's the first time I've done obviously double duty at that level. So for me, definitely managing my priorities was very, very challenging. A lot of late nights. I definitely sacrificed some sleep for prep work and making sure I was prepared for the days ahead. So I'm glad I did that, because I think it paid dividends in the duels and in the Xfinity race and in the 500. Winning the race on Saturday, the only negative to that was that it was really late by the time I got back to the hotel. I hadn't had dinner, and I had hundreds of texts that I would normally be replying to, which I still am today, because I turned my phone off and tried to study some stuff for the race on Sunday. So that was it wasn't overwhelming, but it was definitely a lot, and I enjoy that type of a challenge. As far as the racing on Sunday, look, I'm really impressed with the job, and I don't know if I should be, but I am. That's obviously the standard at Team Penske, but the job that the guys on the 33 did, there's a lot of folks on that car that have 2 jobs within the organization or more, and they definitely executed throughout the entirety of the weekend. So if it's just one miscue on pit road, that obviously at the worst time to have one, but look, there's a lot to be proud of, a lot to build off of moving forward. I thought Miles did a really great job in his first role as a crew chief. So I can definitely pinpoint a couple mistakes that I made during the weekend, but probably a lot fewer than I thought I would have. So, but running up front in the Daytona 500, it's a bummer, because you don't get to do that every day. The Daytona 500 only happens once a year, and there's a lot of guys, a lot of capable drivers, and to find ourselves running in the top 5 for the majority of the event, I wouldn't even say find ourselves. We raced our way up there a lot of the time, and I'm proud of that effort. And there's a lot of things for me to take away that are positive, but at the end of the day, we still came home with a tore up race car and hurt feelings all around. So not ideal, but definitely cool to have the Verizon 5G Ford Mustang up front in the Great American Race.
And I just wondered, how much has your cup experience thus far whet your appetite to do much more this season?
Yeah, it gets me excited. Obviously, I've checked the box on the speedways. I don't see us running another one this year. So that was great experience for me. So looking forward to getting a taste on the mile and a halves and the short tracks and the road courses, seeing where I can improve there and how I stack up on those races and how I can obviously contribute to our effort in that series this year. So I'm very excited. It's given me a lot to think about, but at the same time, my priority is still in the Xfinity series. So already ready to go to the road course this weekend and improve on what we did there last year, and obviously continue to try and get results.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Marty, go ahead. You're up next.
Thanks very much, Austin. Hope you're doing well, man. I'll start off with this. The positives from the Daytona 500. You kind of just brought them up, but what were the main positives you took away from your Cup debut?
Yeah, other than the fact of just making the race, that was my main priority going into the event. I don't think I even rewatched a single Daytona 500. All I did was watch duels and relevant things to that package and that race format. So I had more studying to do during the race weekend, and it was really cool. It was cool to have all that prep work come together and really make a difference. So I hope that my ability to race around other guys in the race was handled well by my competitors. So there's obviously a lot more different scenarios to be put in, and obviously I think there's a short list of mistakes from the weekend. I think that's the biggest positive is that I can count on one hand the things that I probably could have done better, and past that I thought I did a lot of the difficult and challenging things right. And same with my team. There's a lot of things that were new to everyone, and it's difficult with a part-time team, and I think we really excelled in a lot of areas, and I'm proud of that.
And take me through what you tweeted earlier this morning with Kaz Gralla. We're led into taking that memory picture.
Yeah, so I was so mad because I didn't download the picture onto my phone before the race weekend, because obviously I knew Kaz was entered in the event, and we both had really good shots of making the race, and we obviously did. We both made the final transfers, and he and I were teammates racing Bandoleros together. We've known each other. We've raced against each other forever. So that was obviously a cool moment for us. And so I tried to recreate the picture of us standing at the back of my Bando at the summer shootout. and I wasn't quite accurate, but I think you guys get the idea. And we texted about it before. I sent him the pictures, and yeah, it's a good time. It's pretty cool to have that, kind of come full circle and come that far. And obviously, he and I have a lot of work to do to stay at that level. But it's definitely cool experience, and definitely something that I wanted to at least commemorate or have a part of that moment.
Awesome. Thanks, Austin. Good luck to you this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Greg Engel, go ahead.
Hey, I just saw that picture, Austin. That's really cool, man. Have you seen the Netflix show The Crew?
I have not. Obviously, I've heard all about it. I heard it just got released out there. The commercial always makes me laugh because I feel like Ryan's character, or the way he's portrayed in that short ad, is exactly how Ryan Blaney is. So I'm so glad that they captured that. So I really hope that it gives NASCAR fans something to sink their teeth into. Obviously, right now a lot of entertainment and content is through streaming and sitting at home and watching things in your pajamas on the couch, because that's where most people are working from these days. So hopefully that's another bit of a NASCAR release for the fans as they wait for the races on the weekends.
Quick follow-up, which has nothing to do with that. You've driven the electric four-wheel drive, the RTR Mustang Mach-E. Being a young driver, you're probably going to be around when the transitions made to hybrids, even though it's probably a decade away or so. What should we expect, both from a driver standpoint and from fans watching in the stands?
As far as the integration of electric vehicles or hybrid technology, look, it's the way moving forward. I don't think I have to be the one to say that. Whether I agree with it or don't, I don't know much about it, so I'm not sure I've formulated an opinion. To be honest, I actually, for my Ford courtesy car order this year, I got a Mustang Mach-E because I want to know what it's about. I think it's cool. I think it's different. It's obviously the way things are moving forward, and obviously Ford's done a great job to get out in the forefront of that. So I think that's exciting, and I want to learn more about it because there's obviously some really cool things about that technology performance-wise. Like you said, I got to drive Vaughn's RTR Mach-E 1400, and that was pretty cool experience. It definitely took me back to my rallycross days, and I think that's definitely a form of racing that can really benefit from the performance advantages from electric power. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm open-minded to the concept, but obviously in its relation to NASCAR, I feel like that's quite a few years away.
Thank you, my friend. Have fun this weekend.
Thank you.
Chris Estrada, go ahead. You've been waiting patiently. Go ahead.
All good. Austin, thanks for joining us today. Just going back to the final lap from Sunday night, what was going through your mind as you were trailing that lead pack and then just seeing all hell break loose in front of you?
Yeah, I was lucky to catch back up to the pack. It was funny that I saw that Jamie McMurray and Corey LaJoie set the two fastest lap times of the race, and I would put a lot of money on us being or that being us catching the pack at the end of the race. I was pushing those guys pretty hard to try and catch up, but at the same time, if I'm being 100% honest, after I knew that I wasn't going to be in the top 5 anymore, I pretty much considered myself crashed. It just hadn't happened yet because you know how these races play out. So I was shocked at the lack of moves at the end of the race. You know, I got a huge run and took it down the back straight away with 2 to go, just thinking that someone would move with 2 to go. And obviously it didn't happen. So I didn't lose a whole lot, but I basically tried to do the same on the last lap. And Custer and I got linked up in a tandem, and I felt like we had a good shot of making it into the top 10 there. And I pulled out from behind him entering turn 3, and there were wrecked race cars. So obviously I ran into Brad when he was up against the wall, and big fire. That's the first time I've been in a fire. I didn't know if I was on fire or not. So that was a bit unnerving. I'll be honest. It was pretty big impact. Obviously I'm fine. I'm a little stiff. I did some PT, and I'll have a massage later this afternoon and be ready to go for this weekend. But definitely one of the bigger moments I've had inside of a race car. And I think there's a lot we can learn from all those impacts. And obviously NASCAR does a great job to keep the cars safe, but I think for me, obviously the impact aside, that the fire was the big thing. Just not knowing if it was mine or inside my car, or and I tweeted after the race, like, updates, fire's hot. I wasn't trying to be like a smart aleck. Like, it's amazing. Like, holy cow. Like, the amount of heat that comes off of that. And I mean, we're lucky that, he only had 2 laps of fuel left. That's the other thing. So a lot of things to take away from it. But overall, I'm fine. Doesn't discourage me from racing hard at the end and trying to make the most of things.
If I could just do a quick follow-up, just switching over to Xfinity. How does your mindset change from kind of the pomp of the season opening weekend, one of the biggest weekends of your career, to the Daytona road course, and just solely focusing on your title defense in the Xfinity Series? Is there a change now to, okay, the season really gets going here, the title defense gets going here?
I mean, that's the mentality going into Daytona and every weekend moving forward for me. Like you said, it's I wouldn't go to as far as saying that my mindset is title defense. It's make it to the Final Four, which may sound correct, may sound incorrect, but with the way the format is, you have to make it to Phoenix and have your best day. So that was my mindset last year. That's my mindset this year. As far as going to Daytona road course, moving on from the Speedway, I mean, one of my, I call it an extracurricular goal for the year, was to win on a super speedway, and to get that knocked out pretty early was really cool. It was really satisfying, honestly, because it's a different discipline, and to be able to control the race the way we did, bring the speed that we did in our car. I was really proud of that effort, because we haven't had that kind of speed at speedways in the past. So it shows the effort my guys have put in the off season. We keep stepping up, and whether that be individually or as a group. So it gets me excited for the rest of the year, but definitely nothing's guaranteed, and it's back to work.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got about 5-6 more minutes here with Austin. So let's move on to Lee Spencer. Go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. Just kind of curious, Austin, how did the Rolex 24 compare to the 10 hours of Daytona?
Yeah, my 800 miles of Daytona, the 1,000, the hours, whatever, it's different. I mean, I've obviously done long races before, but I'm usually sharing them with other drivers, and there's a lot of different priorities. My mindset at the beginning of the race, I mean, I hung at the back. I almost lost the draft at the beginning of the race, just trying to be conservative, and I'm glad I was that far back, because we didn't get collected. So from there, it was definitely a mentality shift. You can see it in the pack. I mean, I probably got 40 total laps of racing in the entire weekend between the duels and the 500, just because of how much we ran single file by the wall, because no one wanted to be in the next wreck. So that was interesting. But yeah, two completely different intensities, and things that you can do to set yourself apart in the Rolex 24 are more oriented on circulating and being efficient, whereas in the 500 it's being there at the right times.
And you mentioned the fire, and I'm just, they say that nothing scares a driver more than fire, but given your height, do you practice getting in and out of a car in a quick fashion? Because certainly adrenaline would jack you up, and people do incredible things under those circumstances, but just for you to be able to get quickly out of a car, is that something that you've ever worked on, just giving your height?
Yeah, I mean, NASCAR makes us practice some of those things, and obviously gives us a range and different things to do. I mean, I think Wayne Naughton, our series director in Xfinity, is really hard on that stuff. Making sure we know how to get out of the right side of our car, whether if it has a window or not. And so there's obviously procedures in place for those things. But I mean, in that moment, like I said, I didn't know if it was my car or somebody else's car. All I knew, I saw fire, and it was weird, because everything slowed down a lot. I started unplugging my radio and my air hose, and getting to where the only thing left on is my safety harness. I had my window net down before I even came to a stop, ready to get out. So the only thing I probably could have done a better job of is telling my team I was okay, because I was out of the car before they knew anything. But otherwise, yeah, it's definitely, I wouldn't say my size has much to do with it. I can get out of the car, in and out of the car just fine. Yeah, it's definitely one of those moments where you don't know how you're going to react until it happens. And obviously things were all fine.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lee. I've got 4 more here, Austin, so I'm going to try to run through these as quick as we can. Okay, let's start from the bottom up. Jenna, I saw your camera pop on there. Go ahead.
Hey, Austin, what's your understanding of how the Penske guys are supposed to race each other?
That's a great question. That's obviously a burning topic, and I'm probably not the person to answer that. If I put myself at the front of the field, if we're Penske 1, 2, 3, obviously I know my job. I knew my job going into the weekend, and that's to make sure one of us wins the race. And obviously those guys were racing really hard, and I don't think you can fault anyone for trying to win the Daytona 500. So I'm not sure I have an opinion or have a stance, because I'm pretty torn in my own opinion. So either way, I know that it's a shame that we didn't get one of our cars in victory lane, because all three teams really executed so well throughout the race. So there's a lot to be proud of there, but yeah, definitely quiet plane ride home.
Were there any conversations either before the race on how it was supposed to go with the Penske cars, and have there been any discussions after the race?
Look, we have team meetings, we have strategy meetings. I think we all understand what's at stake and how big an accomplishment winning the Daytona 500 is. So I think there's a great understanding of what the expectations are. And after the race, I haven't been included in any discussion, because I was just part of the crash. So I'm not sure it's really any of my business. Just if we can learn more out of it and be better moving forward, I think it's the main thing.
Thank you.
Anton, go ahead.
Thanks. Good afternoon, Austin. So last Sunday you had your first Cup Series race, and it was a great experience for you indeed, I think. How did it feel to be a part of the Cup Series, a part of the Daytona 500 for the first time?
Yeah, it was definitely real for me coming to the green in the duels. The guys, I had Larson in front of me, Ryan Newman behind me. I'm surrounded by some of the best guys, but you have to put that aside. And it was funny, after I won the race on Saturday, I got a text from Montoya, and he's like, "Hey, just remember they're just drivers. They're not anyone special. So leave it to Juan, to put it bluntly." But yeah, it's in some ways it's true. And if I can learn from those guys how to be a better driver and how to be a better competitor and lift my game up, that can help me on Saturday short term and obviously prepare me long term, it just makes me a better driver. So I love those challenges. I love being around the best and trying to elevate myself to that position.
Thanks. Wishing you all the best for this weekend.
Thanks, Anton.
Try to squeeze in these last two. Steven Toronto, go ahead.
Austin, on the subject of the last lap on Sunday, the superspeedway package for the Cup cars is a lot different than the package for the Xfinity cars. The spoilers are a lot bigger, the runs are a lot faster, and the last lap on Sunday was a lot more violent than any wreck I remember the past couple of years in Xfinity races, Daytona and Talladega. Did that accident leave you with, from a driver safety perspective, did it leave you with a couple of concerns about the way the racing is with Cup cars on super speedways right now, or do you almost shrug your shoulders and just say, that's just super speedway racing?
Look, it's a type of racing. Obviously, we're in an entertainment sport, right? It's the biggest race of the year. It's the type of racing that fans really enjoy, and as drivers, we know the risks when entering those races. Like I said, in the last 20 laps of the race, I knew I was outside the top 5, and I probably had a really good shot at getting crashed. So. But as a driver, between the hard work that gets put in behind the scenes at Team Penske to make our cars safe and the work that gets put in by NASCAR's folks behind the scenes, it gives you confidence as a driver that you can put yourself in position and try and go and make something of the race, whether or not there's going to be an accident. So it doesn't leave me discouraged. Obviously, the pack and the package right now it's an aggressive package, and I think that's really dynamic for the fans to be able to see guys pushing and shoving, and the hardest working guys are the first 3 cars. It's the same thing as our point system. To be the best guy, you have to be pushing hard every single lap. So I think it's great entertainment value, and obviously pushes me to be as competitive as possible.
All right, let's finish up with Jordan Bianchi. Go ahead, Jordan.
Austin, you touched on it that you may be doing a short track and intermediate track for Cup races the rest of the year. Curious what your Cup schedule is and when your next race will be.
Yeah, we haven't fully put that together, and in some of the reasons behind it being some of the races that we're wanting to do are races without practice and qualifying. And so we don't know if we're in those races until the entry lists come out. So that's part of the reason why. Otherwise, it's still a little bit fluid. But like I said, I want to get the experience. And I think the intent on the team is as well is to get me experience at intermediates, short tracks, road courses, as much as we can get done in the short schedule that we have planned. And that's why I haven't set any racetracks, because I don't want to commit ourselves to anything, because some of it's out of our control. So I think that's worth understanding. But past that's the intent, and hopefully we're able to have plan A work, but otherwise still great opportunity nonetheless.
Thank you very much.
Austin, thank you for taking the time, and best of luck this weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.